worst thing that could possibly happen from you asking and attending is Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anu and I am a 4th year medical student. I think this is my first video I'm filming as a 4th year, so I'm really excited. You're watching Journey to MD. If this is your first time here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If this is not your first time here and you've not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And guys, I want to say a huge shout out to all my new subscribers. I haven't been posting for about a couple of months now, and yet we've grown. So I just want to say thank you to you guys for subscribing. So I haven't been posting as much as I was before. It's been a while actually since I've posted. I'm sorry, I'm back now until I have to study for step 2 CK. But you know, that's besides the point. Anyways, that's enough of me rambling about my life situations. You didn't come here for that. You clicked on this video because you saw the title, which is how to ask for a letter of recommendation from an attendant. So in my last video about my internal medicine rotation, one of you commented that I should do a video on this. So this is the video. Sorry, it's coming late, but here it is. If you don't know, when you're applying to US residencies, one of the requirements for the application is to have letters of recommendation from doctors, right? So these are not residents, not fellows. They want attendants, like consultants, I think would be the term in UK medicine. In the US and Canada, you want recommendation letters from attendants. Common practice, or should I say best practice, is to have 2 letters from the specialty of your choice, the specialty you're applying to, and then you can have the other one from another specialty. Or I know last year, because of the pandemic, emergency medicine allowed for students to have just one from the specialty, from an emergency medicine physician. But I don't know how much that would change this year. So in general, you need 3 letters of recommendation. I would advise that if you can, you get those letters from US-based physicians because they just carry a little bit more weight. But I do know of situations of people who came from India or Korea and were not able to do observerships or rotations in the US, so they used recommendation letters from doctors in those countries and they have been successful in matching. So, you know, do what you can with whatever it is that you have. How do you approach asking for a letter of recommendation? If you are doing your clinical rotations, there are 3 different ways that people do this. Number 1, you can ask before the rotation starts, and I will go more into that in 1 second. Number 2, you can ask while the rotation is going on, so maybe towards the end or somewhere in the middle of that rotation. And number 3, you can ask after the rotation is over. I'm gonna say this now, and I want you to truly take this to heart. The worst thing that could possibly happen from you asking and attending is they will say no. Or they will say something like, I haven't worked with you enough to be able to write you a good letter of recommendation, so therefore I'm gonna say no, or something along those lines. And you know, better they tell you no, I can't write you a good letter, than for them to write something crappy. We don't get to see the letters, so you don't want that submitted to ECFMG because that would not make things easier for you. Take the fear out of the equation and just go up to an attendant and ask if you need to. So, asking before the rotation starts. This was actually a method that I recently just found out about. One of my friends, in my recent rotation that I just completed, she actually went up to the attendant and said, hi, my name is this. During this rotation with you, I would like a letter of recommendation from you. What do you think I can do, or what would you like to see in order for me to be able to get that from you? And so the attendant told her, I'm gonna ask the fellows, I'm gonna ask the residents how you were, come to cath lab. This was cardiology elective, by the way. Come to cath lab, do this, do that, do that. So now she's set on what it is that she needs to do in order to get that letter of recommendation that she wants. So I've asked for 2 letters without doing that process that she did. So the process that I've been using so far is asking in the middle of a rotation or at the end of a rotation. So usually with an attending, you get to present to them. Sometimes, especially during your course, we don't get a lot of times with the attendants. So the little time that you have with them, you have to impress them as much as possible. So this means that you have to present well, you have to know your patient. If they're asking for lab results, you better be there. If the resident seems like, they can't tell you what the sodium of this patient is, for example, and this patient is yours, here's your chance to jump in and say it. So the attendant notices you. So after I've worked with an attendant for maybe 2-3 days or 2-3 consecutive times, not consecutive, just 2-3 times in general, I feel more comfortable going to approach that attendant to say, hey, can I get a letter of recommendation from you? And that's just me personally, because I feel like after one day I've presented maybe 3 patients, you don't necessarily know me yet. The second time you're like, okay, she seems to know what she's doing. The third time, then you're like, okay, she got this. That's my personal guideline for asking. And I wouldn't necessarily say you should wait till 3 times, because I know, especially for those in core rotations, sometimes attending schedules, you might only be with that person once or twice in your entire rotation. So as long as you feel like that person knows you well enough or has seen you perform in your best light, then I would say it's okay to go ahead and ask for a letter of recommendation from them. So how do you do this? You go up to them, preferably in a private situation, or if it's not a private situation, go up to them by their side and you say, hi, Dr. So and so. It has been such a pleasure working with you. I have learned so much from you. I would like to know if you would be willing to write me a good letter of recommendation. You can add more to it or subtract some, but usually their response, if it's a positive one, would say something like, well, it's been nice working with you as well. Yes, I would love to send me your CV, resume, and your personal statement. Some attendants may ask just for the CV, some may ask for all of those. Then you ask for their emails or phone numbers, or sometimes they provide it to you without asking, and then you send that to them. I would advise that you send it to them that evening and have a picture of your face on the CV or resume, just so you're fresh in their memory. And sending it that evening just puts you in their mind. So now when your ERAS applications open in June, they can type your email into their search bar and they have your previous email that you had sent with your CV and resume, and they're able to connect it together and just remember, oh, this is that student that I told to, send me an email when ERAS opens. So the third way you can ask for a letter of recommendation is sending an email after the fact. I would advise that, you have a relationship with this person that it is that you're sending that email to. If it's somebody you've only worked with for one day and they probably won't remember you, then I wouldn't do it. But if you feel comfortable enough to send that email, please go ahead and do. And again, it could be something like, hi, Dr. So and so, my name is blah, blah, blah. My name is aoyetoran, and I worked with you from this date to this date with this resident, this fellow. Try to be as specific as possible to jog their memory as much as possible. If there was something specific that you guys talked about and bonded over, make sure to include that in the email. Again, just to make it seem a bit more personable, but as professional as possible. And you can ask them at the end of this, would you be willing to write me a good letter of recommendation for residency in whatever specialties or specialty that you're applying to? They can always email you back and say yes or no, and send me your CV, send me your resume, send me your personal statement, whatever it is. Okay? The worst they can say is no, and I've never been told no. As long as you're a good student, you're doing your work, your residents, this is why your relationship with your residents is also important. Your residents have a lot of say in what goes into that letter. So if you have a good relationship with your residents and they know that you're a good student, your fellows know that you work hard, whatever, you will definitely get a good letter of recommendation. If you're asking an attendant for a letter and you have a good relationship with some residents, let them know. Just say something like, hey, so I asked Dr. Smith for a letter of recommendation. I would appreciate it if you could put in a good word for me. That would help as well. That's it for today's video. If there are any specific questions in regards to asking for a letter of recommendation, please go ahead and leave it in the comments below. If there are enough questions, I will do another video. If not, I will respond to you guys directly in the comments. Once again, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you're new to this YouTube Journey to MD family, please go ahead and say hi below in the comments. I would like to say hi to you back. All right. Bye, guys.